We live in a culture that expects us to be in go mode all the time. And yet what I'm feeling more than ever is this deep desire to access my wisdom and my knowledge and my intuition around the seasons that I am in as a being, to understand the capacity that I have for certain things at certain times in my life, to recognize that for me, the yearly seasons seem to be going by so quickly and I don't want to miss out anymore. And then also to understand how I am in tune with, in a dance with the cycles of the moon, as well as my own menstrual cycles. And how tapping into that and going with the ebb and flow is no sort of failure. It's absolutely that for me, an intrinsic success. Because when we understand ourselves at that level and we have this courage to implement that into our lives, everything can change. I don't believe that us as humans, we're built for endless summers. So today is really about how do we learn more about our seasons and living by our cycles? What season are you in? What decisions do you need to make? So if you're ready, grab your brew and let's dive right in. Welcome back to the Seeking Simplicity podcast. And I should let you know that this is going to be a complete off-the-cuff riff from me because there are no show notes for this one. It's just something that's really been playing on my mind. I'm in a particularly challenging season. I have just last week lost my mother-in-law quickly. She was only 63. And it just brings home, it brings home a lot again. And I was just journaling this morning on the fact that I recognize a very visceral, remembered somatic response to losing my dad. And what I actually wrote in my journal was that I can be aware of the somatic response, the remembered somatic response, and I don't need to let that define how I show up. I can let it inform it. And what I mean by that is when my father passed away, it took me 2 years to literally just like regulate myself and come back into a state of even feeling partially human, which I did not expect. And along those times, I wanted to sleep all the time. I didn't want to go out of the house. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I lost all motivation, all ambition. It just felt like survival. And I've noticed though some of those things coming back this week. And I've been able to be soft with myself and say, hey, this is a big thing. You've lost somebody that you love. So give yourself space for that. But I can also let that inform me and remind me that when my dad passed away, I committed to living my life with more mysticism and more magic and more wisdom. I committed to slowing down, hence seeking simplicity. I committed to doing things for myself, not just because I think I should be doing them. And I recognize looking back now that over the last few months, as work has got kind of super busy, it's been very easy to fall back into the doing and into the masculine and into the just like getting through the day. And so I seek to use that response to inform me about remembering life is for living and for being present. So I want to thank my darling mother-in-law for reminding me of that. And so it has again reminded me of the seasons and cycles of life. Now, I do believe that if you think about the archetypes, maybe you know about them, maybe you don't. So I'm going to give you the archetypes that I like to use and you can go have a bit of a Google. So we've got the Maiden, and then we've got the Mother, then we've got the Maga, which is the season that I am in right now, and maybe you are too, and then we've got the Crone. And the Maga is the reason I have recently created my new offering called Magna Nificence, because I do think it is such a I know it's a powerful time for us women to step into, when we use our life experiences to access that wisdom and then make powerful decisions about what we're not here for anymore, what we don't have the capacity for anymore, what we don't have the availability anymore through choice, not through energy, not through lack of resources, but like I'm not available for that thing anymore because I've made that decision. It's a very, very powerful season. It's also associated with the season of autumn, when we let things go because they just don't serve us anymore. And if you think about the autumn and winter season, when it looks like things are dying, actually what is actually happening is we're dropping the leaves, we're dropping what no longer serves, we're feeding ourselves from the inside out so we can blossom into something brand new. So I just want to ask you to think about the season that you're in. Now, I know that this Maga season, this autumn season, this season of maybe it's been banded around, it's like wrapped up in perimenopause, it's wrapped up in midlife. And I really, really do not enjoy the term midlife, so I won't use it. Perimenopause is often part of this. And I don't know about you, but my feed, a year or so ago, I was like just taking in everything I could about perimenopause because I didn't know anything about it. And it's very easy when we start to take this information in to put ourselves in a box and to label ourselves. And in the process of seeking information to make ourselves feel better, sometimes we can take on things that are also not helpful because we're re-imprinting, we're reading them all the time. And what I thought at the beginning was that this was just this hormonal transition, which caused all these, symptoms, if you like, in women. And, from the hot flashes to the aches and pains to the mood swings, all the things that we've heard before. And yet most recently, I'm reading more about the complete neurological rewiring that happens in a woman's brain through this season. Our brain changes more through this season than it does when we're in puberty. We are literally becoming different people. For many of us, our roles are changing. Children are older, they're leaving home, or they're just not depending on us anymore. Relationships shift, change, break up. Maybe what used to light you up in your job or your business or your career, you just don't want to be doing that anymore. Like, things are literally changing because you are changing as a person. And these are things that I didn't know. And so when you're asking yourself why you can't be motivated about this thing, or this thing doesn't interest you anymore, or that friendship feels like it's stagnant, it's all okay. It's this shift in the season. And when I heard Gabor Mate talk about this, he was on a podcast. I'm not sure if it was like with Stephen Bartlett or Davina. I can't remember now. And as he was talking about women, not just in perimenopause, but even women having premenstrual symptoms, he said it's become medicalised. We call them symptoms. He said, but I like to see it as in these times when women's hormones change, they're becoming truth tellers. Because the hormone shift means that the things that they're just putting up with, the things that they're managing, the things that they're getting the stiff upper lip around and they're just carrying on regardless, the hormone shift, and they don't have that filter anymore. They are truth tellers. How many of you listening to this have found that in this season, you find it a lot harder to bite your lip? Maybe you're finding your patience is wearing thin, and we've been told it's because our hormones make us angry. Maybe we're just sick and tired of dealing with the same thing. Maybe we just don't want to keep giving something that amount of energy anymore. So I want you to kind of realize, or I hope that you can take on board that yes, this season comes with these hormonal neurological changes. And what if they're for you? What if we stopped fighting them and we looked at what they were, how they were here for us? That's how we step into our power. What if the focus was just as much on how we were changing for the positive as it was on managing those? I'm kind of loath to use the word symptoms now, but let's just use it for want of a better word, because I feel very blessed, touch wood. I don't do the hot flush thing, right? But I know people that do, and it's excruciating. I know some people that are going through this season without HRT and some that are using HRT. Like, I'm not even going to get into that conversation because it's personal choice. But what I'm saying is what changed for me was having a look at, if this is a season that has been from the dawn of time here to follow the natural progression transition of women from one archetype, one goddess type to another. But we've gone through the maiden phase where we're young and we're learning and we're probably not got children, then we step into that mother role, we'll become more nurturing and we become, everybody else kind of gets put first and we do that sort of thing. And the Maga is like, okay, I'm stepping into my independence again, and I'm finding this wisdom, I'm finding my new self. because you are a new self. And one of the things that I used to focus on was, oh my goodness, where has the old me gone? I want that back. Now I'm like, okay, there are some versions of myself in the past, and I miss some of those things. And I choose to believe that this journey is creating something far more magnificent. Just on a side note here, I was just, again, journaling this morning. One of the things that I really struggle with in this season is scheduling and discipline around time and getting things done. I get distracted so easily. Literally, my brain has got like 20,000 tabs open. I can start cooking something, leave the room, go somewhere else, start something else, go to a different room, start something else, and then smell the pan burning. Like, that was never me. Now I can laugh about it. Whereas maybe 12 months ago, I'd get frustrated and blame the perimenopause, as I used to call it. So let's go back to this, the seasons and cycles. So we've got the seasons of the year, and it's very normal to feel way more energized in the summer when we've got more daylight. It's light when you get up. It's probably light when you go to bed. It certainly is for me. And we've got more warmth. We've got all these things. If you think about what happens in your garden, spring through to summer, there is growth, there is vibrancy, there is color. And then when we come into autumn and winter and the nights draw in and it gets darker, particularly, I don't like the cold. I like the heat. And we want to keep going at the summer pace. Can you see how it's so natural for us to get more tired? And maybe we think we should pop more supplements or take more estrogen or do this or do that. Maybe we need to just be more honoring of the seasons. Maybe this is a time for more sleep. Maybe this is time for having a look at what's our best time for productivity. So the first thing I just want you to be curious about is, how do you show up through the seasons? When is your best season? How can you adapt your life according to the seasons and do so from a place of knowing yourself rather than judging yourself? This knowing yourself rather than judging yourself is a statement that I want you to carry like a badge of honor. Because when you know yourself, you are not looking for external permission. You are not looking for validation, because you just know. And if you're feeling okay and you're getting the results that you want in your life, then you're doing good. So let's take that know thyself into another space. We've looked at the kind of like the generic seasons of the year. And now I want you to look at how you might show up in the seasons of other things that we know about, like your menstrual cycle and the moon cycle. Some of you will still be bleeding, some of you will not. And what I'm asking my clients to do right now is to track the moon cycle. There's some really good free apps online, and just have a look at what the moon is doing, where it is, like if it's waxing, waning, full, new, and just like the quarter moons and all that. And then just notice what their energy is like, notice what their mood's like. And it's going to take a good 2, 3, 4 months to start getting some kind of pattern that is evident. Those of them still having menstrual cycles, I'm asking them to track that alongside as well. So as an example, I notice that my energy dips horrendously when there is a full moon. So this last couple of days has been an absolute nightmare. And in the past, I'd have beaten myself up. And now I'm learning to manage my life or arrange my life around that knowing of myself. And there are going to be other times in the cycle, in my moon cycle, in my menstrual cycle, where my energy is much higher. And those days are my longer working days. Those days are the days where I work out harder and with heavier weights. So I'm now learning to create, to curate a life, a calendar, a schedule that incorporates the knowingness of me and my energy cycles. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a caveat in here as well, and I'm going to make it super short because, again, this could be its own podcast. As a coach, an LP coach, high performance coach, I also know that we have the ability to curate our energy levels through what we eat, how we hydrate, how we move, how we work out, what we say, what we think, how we stand. All of these things shift our energy, create our energy. One of the things of knowing yourself is knowing when you're stuck in a pattern that is coming from your brain, like, oh, I'm just too tired. Oh, it's a full moon, I can't do this. Oh, it's my period, I can't do this. And you allow that to be a self-sabotage technique rather than knowing yourself, planning in advance and using it as a power technique. So getting my clients to look at their menstrual cycle and the moon cycle and starting to find this pattern for themselves helps them to identify where it's self-sabotage versus where it's a real effect of something outside of themselves. Now, very rarely will I say to anybody that they are effect of something, because we all have human will. So you could, if you wanted to, feel exhausted in the full moon and push through if you wanted. So I hope that kind of caveat makes sense. Once you start to understand that, you can, like I say, you can curate your own diary. Where have you got the energy to be more productive? Where have you got the capacity to be with more people? Where do you have the strength to lift heavier weights? Where is your time for more yoga, Pilates, walking? Where is your time for more soups and stews and casseroles versus raw veg and that kind of stuff? So this is how we build on this. And it's not going to happen overnight. And I don't want you to do it overnight, because that gets us back into that whole mode of being on the go all the time. This is a curious pathway to be excited about. So we've got that kind of stuff as well. And then the other thing that I want to bring you in is the seasons when things happen externally that knock you off kilter. So losing my mother-in-law, she has been unwell, but we thought everything was okay. And 4 weeks ago, we travelled to Scotland to see her. We think she's getting better, and now she's gone. And it's knocked us for 6. And so the capacity that I thought I had a month ago, the capacity isn't there right now. And I could push through. I'm just not prepared to do that anymore. I'm just not in that season. Other things, when there's problems going on with your children, if you're in a season where you're prioritizing your relationship or you're prioritizing your health, the last time you looked, I bet you wasn't a robot. You are a being. And knowing yourself allows you to decide when it's time to actively build the energy, to create the energy, and when it's time to be part of the dance. And the seasons you're going to go through, the things that come along in life that stretch your capacity, that take your focus away from where it was into something else, like that's just the cycle of life. And we're being taught to carry on regardless. We're being taught if we want to achieve something, we have to just keep pushing through. And maybe there are times in life when that is true, but is that true for you right now? Some of the blockers that I hear when I have these conversations with clients is, but I feel like I should be doing more. Yes, of course you do, because we've been taught to be on the go. And I ask them to just say, am I making the progress at the speed with which I would like? If not, what has to change for you? And if someone comes along and says, no, I'm not making progress, but this just happened to me, and this, someone just passed away, and this is happening, and this is happening. And I'm like, well, where do you want your attention to be? Is that other thing as important as those other 2 or 3 things that just happened to you? Ebb and flow, rise and fall, night and day, yin and yang, be in that dance. There's this also, for another blocker I hear, is if I slow down, I'm going to fall behind. Like I'm going to stop. People are going to go ahead of me. And scarily, one of the other big things is that rest means that I'm failing. I will never forget a coach that I used to work with, a good friend of mine, and he used to say to me, elite performance requires elite recovery. Rest is like the autumn and the winter. It's the letting go, but underneath, in the soil, and the plants and the trees are like building themselves back up to bud back into spring. There is a lot going on in autumn and winter. You have those seasons too. And if you don't, what happens if you end up burning out because you're trying to endlessly sprint through life? What happens if you just literally keep amplifying the resentment at yourself because you feel like you're not keeping up? And maybe more importantly, what if you miss the richness of those slower transitional seasons? If nature thrives in rhythm, in planting, in growing, in harvesting, in resting, then why is it not true that we do the same as human beings? What happens for you in your body, in your brain, when you say to yourself, I'm going to start living with the nature, with the rhythm of nature. I'm going to start learning to know myself so that I can curate the perfect strategy, schedule, life, day for me. Naming your current season allows you to align your expectations and make choices that support you now. So remember, when we think about seasons, we're thinking about the individual things that are happening for you that are impacting your energy, your availability, your capacity. We're looking at the season of the year that we're in. We're looking at where the moon is. We're looking at the cycle of your menstrual cycle if you're in that. We're looking at the maiden, the mother, the Maga, the crone. Ask yourself, what is your season? How is your season being created right now? What does it encompass? What do you think needs to be a priority? Growth, rest, transition, harvest, and then adjust your expectations accordingly. Just like in the olden days, when we used to have stereos that had the treble and the bass and the other little buttons on it, like you get to manipulate those buttons every single day when you know yourself and you stop trying to keep up. When you know yourself enough to know when it's time that I know right now I need to push a little more. I know when it's time to lean a little bit back. Not only do you adjust your expectations, but with that level of knowing, you adjust your schedule. You adjust your pace. You know what to ask for, what you need. You know how to give yourself what you need. Honor that season instead of fighting it. So if today you could just take one small thing from this podcast, it is this. Get clear with what your current season is, and then give yourself permission to live in sync with it. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go over to Apple and leave me a review and share it on social media, because the more we can encourage the people that we love, the people that we're in community with, to live cyclically and seasonally. Watch everybody exhale. Watch everybody just go, oh, that feels so much better. I can take my own pace. And I think more importantly, perhaps we can teach our children to do the same. If you'd like to find out more about Magna Nificence, my brand new offering, the priority waitlist is now open, and I'm going to put a link around here in the show notes. So do go check it out. And I'll speak to you again in the next episode of the Seeking Simplicity podcast.